Good morning, everyone. I will share my screen. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Is Steve Buswell with you?
Yeah, he's in here.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I guess just like we have normally been doing, I'll go through some pictures over the last month, and then I will toss it over to Tyler, and he can go over the rest of the update. But yeah, starting inside, here's the day rooms. We got a lot of the furniture delivered. So we got these tables, chairs. The paint is mostly complete. They got a few punch list items to go over, and they're going to be bringing a team in next week to do the punch list for on the paint side. Moving through, I got just several pictures of the day rooms here. Feel free to stop me if you have any questions. You can see the acoustical panels are installed up on the top, as well as the vanities here. A couple more day rooms. Another look at the naturalized doors. There's a security TV enclosure. All those are installed. Here's a look inside cell with the beds installed. Another look from the inside. It's kind of hard to see from this picture, but all the glass, if you're standing inside the day rooms, it's all mirrored from the inside. So the inmates can not see out into other day room cells and the staff. Here's a look in the kitchen. They're buttoning up a couple things there. Here's a picture of Chase behind the cells, just kind of showing all the plumbing that's involved, as well as the electrical. I think there's another picture of all the panels here, but as you can tell, there's a lot of mechanical work behind the cells. Yeah, here's the electrical panels. This is dispatch, break room and dispatch, and the bathroom. Here's a look inside the electrical room. As you can tell, we don't have the transfer switch yet. Tyler can touch on that when he gives his update. We'll look at the holding cells, booking. Well, this is medical inmate exam room, programs. Here is a gun locker. There is, I think, 7 of those throughout the building. The lockers getting installed. Those are getting installed this week. Fingerprint scanner and the body scanner. That was installed a couple weeks ago. That is everything I have for photos. Yeah, I guess I'll turn it over for questions or I can send it off to Tyler first, and then we can handle the questions last, and then Steve, if you want to comment as well. But yeah, Tyler, if you wanted to take over.
Yep. So updates on kind of schedule right now. Obviously, we had Danielle come through and do punch list items. I think that was last week. So we got exterior punch list complete. There's a few items that are on the list to get complete, but she came through the interior and walked through that. Let's see, we're looking at having the temp occupancy for next week. There was a few things we were hoping to have it here actually this last week or so. some fire alarm enunciators and a few things that kind of were on delay or back order, I would say, are showing up here in the next day. We had the state inspector also wanted to have a dial out. So say if the fire alarm in that system is up and live. Right now, the way the system works is that with it being dispatched 24/7, it's actually supposed to go to them. But since dispatch is not, the new dispatch is not live, we're going to have to get a cell dial out that will temporarily go to existing dispatch in case anything does happen during this temporary occupancy until dispatch, the new one is fully up and running. So one thing we're kind of had to work through with the state inspector, that's why we're looking at the end of next week to have our temporary occupancy. And then following that will be the DOC final occupancy. And I don't know if we really have a set date with that, Steve, or I know they were in there yesterday kind of walking through. But I think we're shooting in September to try to open up for October 1st. I don't know if that's correct. If Steve, you wanted to comment on that at all, just to.
Yeah, so Jen Pfeiffer and another inspector, Justin, came through yesterday. So Justin is the building inspector for the Minnesota Department of Corrections. He oversees the new building and the 2900 codes for the building. And Jen Pfeiffer is our inspector for the 2911 codes that are the operational side of it. So they came through and have their own punch list, which is something completely different. And they look at health, safety, welfare in a different viewpoint than what the state inspector, Chris Myers, is looking at as far as with inmate occupancy, management, staff training, obviously having the generator hooked up, fire suppression, emergency response to whether it be an incident that would be a physical, one that would be medical, dumping a building. So all this stuff is what we need to do in this transition before we get into a full occupancy. With that, there's just some things that we're working with Market & Johnson to button up for the pre-occupancy, and part of it's generator enunciators, as Tyler was mentioning, so we could get the state inspector to do that as well as the DOC, so we could get into this transitional training and just sort of go full bore with it. And if everything goes good, everything looks like we should be able to get in with our inmates October. The only thing that would be a problem for us is if there'd be something to have to do that would delay it. So it's something electronically would fail, the generator doesn't come on time or something like that. So these are some of the things that we don't really have a specific date on right now. We keep hearing from the vendor that he's being told every 30 days. So May was to June, June to July, July to now August. So 30-day delay on transfer switches and the generators. So just have to say that we're crossing our fingers to make sure that continues and that stuff's actually up, or what's really going to be the contingency with it. So whether there's just another generator in place. But I have to say that even if we put something else into place, if a generator is to be shut down, we'd have to figure out some kind of contingency plan, because if the jail is up and running, does that mean that we have to dump a jail while all this is being moved? So there's a lot of things that we're just trying to figure out right now that hopefully we don't have to do, but we're just trying to put them into play to make sure that we are as best prepared for it as we can. But for the most part, as I've said all along, I believe that Market & Johnson's working very diligently, making the vendors work as hard as they can and pushing them to make sure that this stuff is done in a timely manner as much as possible.
So are you all saying that you think October 2nd is reasonable?
It's if things keep moving forward, yes. If the biggest thing is there's just some unknowns, and one of them I'd have to say the biggest is the generator. And obviously there was a couple delays, like with Stanley getting like this door electronics and stuff in, but after this meeting here today, we're going to be working with Stanley to get that in and done, so that way we can actually start to what I'm gonna call plug and play with the doors, the switches, the cameras, the integration system. Because once it's in, that's really the beginning of it, is to start making sure that it works as it's supposed to and operational as we requested and want, as well as train the staff. So, but the one thing that would stop a lot of this, Sheriff, would be the generator, because obviously it's a new construction, the old generator, even if we have it up and running, it doesn't have an annunciator panel. So they have to have these specific annunciator panels that it's running when it's on, and then also when it's in like a cool down mode, and that it's shut off. So if it doesn't shut off after a period of time, there's an annunciator panel is required from any kind of a cognitive care type facility. So a nursing home, a hospital, a jail, and I'm sure like treatment facilities and stuff, but any place that's like that has to have these annunciator panels. So we fit into that requirement. And they don't have the generator date yet, as far as like the generators coming, the annunciator panels on board, it's here, but we don't have a transfer switch, as Sam just said. So that stuff is sort of the new norm, I guess, in the business world, where these things, they're not weeks or even necessarily months in delay. Sometimes they've been like a year. So we know that this stuff was ordered quite a while ago. So I believe Bruce from Key Electric that these 30 days, he felt very comfortable and confident that, yeah, it's coming, because he had that time in advance to order this stuff. But I can just look at you right now and say it's not here yet.
Well, I should have asked you this yesterday, Steve, but what's the delay with the bathrooms out in the lobby?
I guess we'd have to.
We're waiting on the plumbing inspection. There was a hiccup with I guess the design, as far as they were coming in, they were going to have to core drill above the current IT, and you couldn't run plumbing down there. So they had to redesign it. So they had to resend the plans into the state and get it accepted. So they have the plumbing inspector coming tomorrow to finalize that inspection, and then they're going to be re-sheetrocking it starting tomorrow afternoon is the plan. Any other questions out there? Or Tyler, do you want to touch on anything else?
No, yeah, I think that was the big thing. Was obviously we've talked about the generator for quite a few months now, knowing it was possibly going to be an issue. Like Steve said, Stanley, they're coming on Monday to start integrating their work, so that should be getting completed. So then the Winona County can start taking over and start working in there. Yeah, I think that's really our big dates that we're concerned on, or just getting the generator and moving forward with that. Any other questions on anything that's going on or coming forward, or?
So it sounds like the transfer switch for the generator, currently the projected timeframes when that would be here have been unreliable. So it sounds like that's kind of an indefinite, could potentially delay the entire operation of the facility. Am I understanding that correctly?
Right now, we've been told that we just met with Key last week again about this, trying to find a contingency plan on what else we could do. And his comment was that they're told early mid-August, but he's like, I honestly think it's going to be a week into September is what he was telling me. He's like, that's right. I feel like that's what haven't get a hard date. So we're talking with them. We were looking at doing, like Steve said, the existing generator, but I believe as of yesterday, when the POC came through, they're talking that, yeah, we might not be able to do that because the annunciator panels and some of the other things. So with that just coming to light here, we're gonna have to try to look at some other options. I'm not gonna just say, yeah, we're just stuck now and can't do anything. We still, just hearing that news, I want to, run down some different avenues with other people and see what we can do. So yeah, I would say there is a potential. I don't want to, blow smoke up everybody. So I would say there is a possibility it could, but we haven't looked at every option yet. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like the transfer switch vendor has been blowing smoke. And you're looking at alternatives and contingencies so that's just to be able to move forward with some kind of a jury-rigged setup perhaps for the time being. I'm thinking, maybe some manual connections and, things that are not as automated as would be optimal, but that would be able to work with a little bit more manual and oversight by a human rather than the thing, starting up and transferring automatically. I presume that could be done.
Yeah, and the other thing too, like Steve brought up, is we got to look at too is that say we do something temporarily, well, and then suddenly the jail does start to have 40, 50 inmates. Obviously, there's a large cost for the county to ship out for the day of transferring. I don't know. There's a lot of things I want to look at and sit down with probably the DOC. Obviously, I think the DOC is the one that really brought this up yesterday. The state inspectors, Chris Meyer, he was good with, doing what we were going to do, but I think the DOC had a little different perspective on it. So we need to kind of regroup with everyone, talk with Key, see what we can do, and probably have a sit down with all parties and look at what's possible. Because
Okay.
if it was a quick couple hours shut off or something, that's what I'm hoping. I need to get what the stance of the DOC is. Say, if it's down, it's down, and that's that's the law kind of deal. Like we can't say if there's no generator for an hour or something, is that end of the world? I need to get a decisive answer from them.
Yeah, I would hope there would be some reasonableness there, especially if that hour is sometime when, we're not experiencing peak loads and, there's not a bunch of thunderstorms coming and, those kind of things that would tend to knock down the commercial power.
Yes, I'm hoping that right now we're looking at worst case. I think we have to just to prepare for it. But if the generator shows up the first week of September, I don't see any issue happening getting that wired up and hooked up and being able to turn over the end of September, October 1st.
So if there's any additional costs related to this, is that chargeable back to the switch supplier?
Yeah, that's what Key, Bruce from Key, he brought that up saying how he knows this, he's going to have some extra time doing this and that, but that's on them and the vendor, unfortunately. So yeah, he kind of walked down that path knowing that it's their deal to deal with.
Yeah, that's obviously their issue, but what I'm getting at more is, you're spending more time on this. We potentially have a multi-million-dollar facility that's not usable for an extended period of time. There's some significant damages that go with that. That's the thing I'm talking about.
Yeah, we'd probably have to lay that all out with that vendor and see where the response coming back with it will be.
Yeah, maybe a come to Jesus discussion with them might be helpful.
Yeah, I know it's a tough. Unfortunately, we've got hospitals right now and throughout our company that we're dealing with this, and it was going to be here June 1st, and it's showing up now September, and we've tried doing that, running with a different vendor and throwing some costs at them and stuff like that. And the unfortunate thing is there's like 3-4 of them in the nation kind of deal, and they're all in the same boat and they kind of know that. So they don't bend too much, I guess is what I'm getting at. But it's something to at least lay out there and make their understanding of.
Is it helpful if the county were to write something?
Maureen, you're extremely faint, for me at least.
So would it help if the county were to write a letter?
Yeah, I think it doesn't hurt to throw whatever we can at them at the moment, just to kind of reinforce the urgency of it and the potential costs like they brought up that could be affected with the county and just lay it out. I think it'd be a good idea to put something together if you're willing to.
Okay.
I guess if it gets to it and we need to reach out to Representative Pulowski, in terms of pressure with the DOC or when it gets to that negotiation, that's a possibility too. He has been helpful in terms of getting the local option sales tax passed. So our legislative delegation has been supportive of us.
Just changing gears a little bit, Tyler or Sam,
Yeah.
then too, and if you already addressed it, maybe I missed it, but the security electronics portion, are we tracking okay with that and everything too? Because that would obviously have to be in well before October 1st to get the staff and everything trained up on that. Just looked like there was a fair amount of work yet to do on that.
Yep. Yeah, that's when I referenced Stanley Solutions. I guess I should have, that's the security electronic contractor. They're showing up on the 31st, so that's Monday. So he's got, with the rack and all the network being connected, he said maybe two full weeks, but with it being all connected, it might be a week, but just err on the safe side, it's going to be 2 weeks. So yeah, he should be, then they'll have the owner training and all the stuff that's written in the spec that's due to the county. So yeah, I would say that's trending just fine.
So they're expecting that within the next like 2 or 3 weeks then? Is that what you're saying
Yeah.
for that?
Yeah, they're starting on site Monday to do the install and integration. So if you'd say that, I would say, what is that, around the 11th, probably the week of the 14th, you might be able to start, like Steve said, plugging and playing with it.
Okay.
Sam and I were off for a little bit here. We lost the internet connection, but I just dialed in on the phone. We're back.
Anything else anybody has questions on? We'll keep everyone up to date as soon as they hear more on the generator. Like I said, that's our biggest hang up. So if we can get a letter from the county, I'll pass that on to the vendors and see what we can get back. All right, if not, that's all I've got.
Okay, we'll get you that letter, Tyler.
Okay, appreciate it. I guess the next one, I know Danielle usually kind of facilitates some of this, would be, do we have another date set up? I think it would be what, the 29th of August? Is that, or is it the third week usually? 1, 2, 3. I don't know, Sam.
I
do you
have one on my calendar, August 22. That's a Tuesday at 9 a.m.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I think we hold that. Probably do one more of that for sure that time and get an update with everything where it's sitting. And if we have to do one more following up in September, and that hopefully that's the final one for then we're turning over and you guys are live and running the facility. Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone.